Hey everyone, it's Dinah, and we are back with more of The Boys Diabolical. This time on to episode number 3. The first episodes have been pretty eventful. I feel like maybe the second one more so than the first one. The second one, I actually had like dialogue to go along with it. I think it very kind of, probably wouldn't have worked as well without it. But so the second one actually kind of focused on a much heavier kind of topic, and yeah, it kind of ran pretty deep. So yeah, kids at Red River, like a kind of kids care home for soup kids, but not just for soup kids, but also for kids who were injected as babies with Compound V, but then didn't necessarily develop the abilities that Vought or their parents were interested in. So then they were rejected by Vought and then dumped by their parents into the care home and everything, and yeah, and then just kind of left to fend for themselves and everything. So yeah, but then it coincided with the actual season 2 storyline of the Compound V kind of news reveal, where it was revealed to the world that heroes aren't actually born or graced by God or whatever, but they're actually injected as babies with Compound V. So then the kids found out the truth, and they found out the truth about Vought and their parents and everything. So then they went on the ultimate revenge mission to hunt down their parents and to pretty much kill them for everything they did and everything. And for the most part, they succeeded. For the most part, they did succeed until they got to Ghost's parents, and then Homelander arrived with some Vought kind of gunmen and everything, and then the gunmen were entirely kind of almost unnecessary. They're just there to pretty much kind of pose for the news and everything, because then the cover story was that Homelander saved an innocent woman from a bunch of soup kind of threats and everything, but then Homelander butchered the Homelander, just nuked all of them with his laser eyes, just slaughtered them all, and Ghost can't die because then that is her power. She's just kind of in and out of reality. She's literally quite a good she's literally like a ghost and everything. She can't really interact with anyone or anything, and just kind of left kind of feeling everything, but just unable to actually kind of coexist in the same way. So she's essentially kind of immortal, essentially kind of actually fully living out the immortality curse and everything. So yeah, but there were other kids with other powers, like a boombox and a animal transformer and a Mexican flag made of water, and there's just like a bunch of different kind of things. And in the end, I think for the purpose of revenge and for the purpose of kind of killing and everything, they did kind of end up actually utilizing their kind of abilities fairly well and everything. But for the most part, I think that the point was still like them, having been non-consensually injected with this stuff and turned into different kind of things, and then being cast aside by the very people that made them the way they are, and even the people that had sworn to kind of raise them and to protect them and everything. So yeah, very kind of heartbreaking story about a kind of even like a story that can even be taken from the real world today, just with like an actual superpower kind of spin put on it and everything. So yeah, it was very kind of very touching in that sense. So yeah, I think Ghost and the narrator are the only kind of known survivors, I think. The narrator managed to kill his own dad and everything, and then Ghost just kind of phased out and swore to return and stuff. So I think if there's anyone I want to see, it's Ghost. If there's anyone I want to see in the main show, it's Ghost. So Red River was also the kind of the care home that was actually explored and very briefly touched upon in season 3, with Victoria Newman being from there originally before being adopted and everything. So yeah, I think it was cool to actually see it kind of pop up here first, and then pop up there first, and then actually see it kind of expanded upon here too, because I don't know exactly how far beyond Victoria Newman they might touch on it in The Boys, in the actual main show and everything. So it was cool to have it here, regardless. So yeah, so was that it? I think that was pretty much it. I think it's just the reveal, then the revenge mission and everything, and then just like the kind of history of like Vought kind of giving kids Compound V and taking in the successes and casting aside the failures in their eyes and everything. So yeah, that was from episode 2, so that was cool. So now on to episode number 3 of Diabolical. So yeah, let's go. The Boys. Oh, that's the actual Boys comic cover. That's the actual Boys. Oh. Garth Ennis, yeah, those are the writers, yeah. Oh, we're getting a comic style episode this time. Okay. Whoa, an elephant's trunk as well. Jesus. And floating cat girls. Is that what that is? We call if this is actually like a comic style kind of episode too. I think they've been trying out different animation styles with this so far.
All right, my son.
Oh.
Know who I am? Who? Good. Let's keep it that way.
Is this Butcher? This can't be Butcher. Butcher has facial hair.
Get the fuck out of here, man.
Where'd you keep all the dead kids' blood then?
That's not Carl Evans' voice, is it? I think that sounds like a different voice actor.
Dead kid's blood. You know, from
Dead
leukemia
kid's
and
blood.
fibrosis and that. Iron cast. He drinks it recreationally.
Iron
Says he can
what?
taste the despair.
Iron cast drinks kids' blood. Dying kids'
Also
blood.
says it's the only thing that raises the flag these days.
Oh. That's disturbing. That's the same thing in the boys.
I know you get Crystal and them two Muppets, A-Train and Jack from Jupiter.
Ah, crystal meth.
You get Queen Maeve her happy pills.
Queen Maeve. The happy pills?
And I know you get coke for that cunt Homelander.
Ah, Homelander
Couple
gets
of you
coke.
Adrenaline, where he likes it.
Oh shit. So he gets and sells drugs to the Seven.
Don't you supply the Great Wide Wonder? Of course he's not one of the seven.
The Wide Wonder. The Great Wide Wonder.
Heroin enemas.
Heroin enemas? Oh, gee, oh, Jello, oh. Don't Jello, jelly, not Jello. It's lube. He pumps that shit up his ass?
What is that?
He's something a mad French bastard I know.
Ah, Frenchie.
Said it will suit the Great Wide Wonder.
Frenchie came up with that, some kind of purple thing. Thanos' blood. Alien blood, is that possible?
Die, you old fucker!
Oh, bad move.
No, please!
Bad move, kiddo.
Oh god, no!
The strong silent type.
Oh, is that Huey?
Very funny.
Is that Huey? That's Huey from the comics, right? It looks like Huey from the comics. Yeah.
And I didn't want you to miss all the fun you helped stir up.
Is Great Wide Wonder gonna die on stage? Jack from Jupiter. An alien, oh, an actual alien. Queen Maeve, oh, that's Queen Maeve rules in the bi-colours, I recognise that. Less than happy to show up there. The Homelander. With a giant fucking eagle on one shoulder. He usually has them on both, doesn't he? Usually? Maybe this is a specially designed cape.
We're here to recognize a hero who shines so brightly we can wait no longer to bestow.
That sounds closer to Anthony Starr than Butcher does to Carl Urban. So what are his powers? Oh shit.
The Great Wide Wonder. He was at a party last year. Took a couple of honours students for, well, I suppose you'd call it a flight.
Zeke. Oh, just the atmosphere?
By the time they twigged he didn't give a shit, that it was part of the fun for him. As far as we know, they're still up
Oh,
there
he
in
took
orbit.
people out into space.
Jesus fucking
He took
Christ.
people into space and they never came back.
Heard anything like that?
Everyone we know's got a story like that.
Yeah, Huey's Scottish in the comics too, I think. Yeah, based off of Simon Pegg. Based off of, yeah.
But there's fast, and then there's
I'd say about Mach
Supersonic.
1.5.
Mark 1.5. Is he not just meant to fly through the ring? Is he meant to do these loopy-loops and world tours and everything? Oh, it's because the drug, isn't it? Oh, gosh. Destroying buildings now? He's gonna crash land somewhere, right? He's gotta end up crash landing somewhere. Dude, just on the ring, like, dude, the ring is here, right here. Is he gonna explode in midair? Oh. 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 Oh, Jesus. Oh, he burst right through the iron, dude. Oh, God. He broke his arms and legs. Oh. And went crashing into the wall. Jesus. Yeah, he's yeah, he's turned. Oh, 2 birds with 1 stone. 2 birds with 1 drug. 2 birds with 1 drug.
James Frenchie, what you put in that stuff?
Yeah.
Hidden in the light of the sun! Crow War satellite!
I see it! I see the ship!
You don't see shit.
There! Look right in the
You
sun!
don't see shit.
Galaxius has returned once more.
The
Galaxius.
Great Wide Wonder!
All we can do now is avenge him.
Oh, this is their cover story. This is their cover story. Just fly away and never come back. Just fly away and don't come back.
2 for the price of 1.
Yeah.
Right. We'll be in touch, mate.
Oh, gosh.
You trying to tell me you didn't enjoy that?
Ugh. No more dead kid blood for you. Haha, so this one was an interesting take actually, because it did feature like a few of the more prominent kind of characters from the show, but just like with like an entirely different like a never before kind of like a televised kind of story, and like I mean presumably I think even with them opening up like with literal comic shot too, that was really nice. So I kind of hoped it would be like one of those kind of formats where it's like, you know, like even like scene transitions go as like comic panel to comic panel instead, like when you have those transitions that like it zooms out, shows off the shot as an actual comic book panel, and then it just, you know, slides over to another one and then enters that way. That I thought might be that way, and like with like little speech bubbles in the corner and all that kind of stuff. But no, I think the closest we got was probably like the opening being like an actual comic book being opened and then zoom in. For the most part, definitely kind of just like seemed to kind of be doing like its own thing, and it definitely kind of opened up in like an inspired way, so that was cool. But yeah, it featured Butcher. I think I was so confused. I was so conflicted. It's so like struck back for a second. Like, is that Butcher? Like, it could be Butcher because he has a dog. He has a dog that looks almost like exactly like the dog in the actual in that clip too, and it turned out to be Terra. But and then it's like, you know, like a tall, dark kind of like a tall figure, dark hair, white dude, like in like a long black trench coat and like a you know, like dressed like that, like down to the detail. It looked like Butcher, just without the facial. The missing facial hair was kind of what got it for me, because then we've seen flashbacks of the team back in the of the original boys back in their days from season 2 and everything, like when they showed off the lamplighter case and everything, and even in that one he had different hair, but he still had the facial hair and everything. So without the facial hair, I was like, you know, like, could this like maybe just like really early days Butcher? Because I think the Butcher's origins, even with Becca, I think that kind of showed him having no facial hair. So I think maybe like from back when he really properly started, because then that episode still showed him actually meeting Mallory for the first time before she contracted him and took him in and actually just started to train him under her wing and everything. But definitely I think either an original story from the writers of the show, or maybe like an actual never before televised kind of story from the comics itself, because it did also like introduce some new characters and some new soups that we've never heard of and everything, but definitely incorporated characters that we know, like a couple from the Seven, and even like the boys as well. So I think we had Butcher, we had like Frenchie being name dropped, so Frenchie was still kind of with them and still making the concoction that ended up killing both Great White Wonder and Iron Cast as well, so there was that. But yeah, Huey was on the comic, because Huey, that look, like the actual character design, that is the one from the comics. I've seen that design before. That is actually the one from the comics, and interestingly enough, comic Huey in both kind of character and also appearance is actually inspired by Simon Pegg. Simon Pegg, like his kind of appearance, and like it's actually based of him, at least appearance wise. And I think also kind of written to be a character that he could play and everything. So it's actually inspired by this, and I think even the voice actor. I think I'm not entirely sure if the voice actor was actually Simon Pegg. I couldn't properly tell, but he actually also is originally written to be Scottish too. So yeah, and we have had Simon Pegg in the show. In season 1, Simon Pegg did play Huey's dad instead. So they've had Jack Quaid doing Huey, and I mean, to be fair, Jack Quaid has been doing a really fun, a really cool and really fun job as Huey. So that's really cool. But I'm at this point I'm kind of fully trusting that like almost everyone who voiced like the characters in this was actually different from the actual main live action cast. I think the guy for Homelander kind of actually does sound closer to Anthony Starr, but then I think maybe like his voice kind of I feel like his voice, like being the typical American kind of patriotic kind of voice, is probably kind of fairly kind of easy to emulate anyway. So I think you probably don't specifically need Anthony Starr for that. But then this kind of story would probably kind of allow them to create like an actual kind of to actually create and televise a boys storyline that's closer to what the kind of comics kind of version had in mind, and what the comics creators had in mind. So I think the opening credits actually did show is actually the episode was actually written, I think, by guy involved with the writing in the comics too. So yeah, I think based on what I've heard about how much edgier and darker and gorier and how much like more kind of out there the boys kind of still like comic stories and comic kind of imagery and comic kind of material is, I feel like this could just as easily be like it feels like an actual story that would actually fit into the comics too, like Butcher and the boys using drugs to take out the soups, and it being as gory and it being as kind of like it being as spontaneous as that, and it just kind of being like the most kind of random thing too, like them kind of going after, because then I feel like in the show it definitely feels like it's been like slightly slightly more strategic and slightly more drawn out, and it's like they actually have a plan. But here it's like not to say they didn't have a plan here. They clearly did have a plan of actually tracking down the drug dealer and actually getting to the soups through him and everything, and even actually going after one of the newer ones too. But then it does feel like slightly more kind of spontaneous and slightly more like Butcher's just kind of like, you know, fuck it, let's just blow up a soup, and or like, you know, like have a soup go crazy on drugs and do this, that, and the other, and just like it just kind of like going as horribly as it did, and it's still like the mission still being a success and everything. And then, but yeah, we met the soup drug dealer called OD. What better name for a drug dealer than OD? Thinking he also kind of did run like some kind of underground soup kind of club that had dancing and possibly sex and drugs too. Like there were a guy like some person with like two heads and one person on each side, like two different people on each side actually making out with each head and everything. So it was that, and then two presumably kind of like, they looked like cat girls. They looked a little bit like cat girls, but I can't be sure. But they're just two people floating and making out in midair, and others just kind of doing stuff. So I think it seemed like an underground kind of party for the most part, at least in like an actual skyscraper and everything. So I don't think OD himself is an actual soup, but then he actually just kind of deals drugs out to soups, and most notably members of the Seven too. So he gives A-Train, I think, was it Joseph, or was it, I don't know if it's Joseph, I think A-Train and someone else who also kind of, you know, takes drugs with him. I think he sells them crystal meth. Then he gives Queen Maeve her happy pills. I think she crushes them up and puts in a drink, and then she just kind of feels bliss or ecstasy or whatever. So, and then Homelander has coke. Has coke cut with human adrenaline. He likes to experience kind of human adrenaline, possibly donated by OD himself. So there's that. So I think that's a 7. And that's the arguably more mainstream drugs too. Arguably more kind of mainstream kind of deals that he makes. And then the arguably more and also I think Great White Wonder too. He actually gives him drugs that he takes as an enema. He actually literally lubes his backside. Not his backside, but his ass. He lubes his ass and then pumps it up there. Just squeezes that bag real tight, and then lets it all flow through. So he takes it up that way. So. that's that. So yeah, and then that's a great one. And then the non-7 soup, the arguably more disturbing soup too, Ironcast. He gives him he drinks dead kids' blood, so kids who have died from all manners of like presumably like terminal diseases too, like, you know, leukemia, and like he drinks those because he can taste the despair, and it also turns him on. So a very fucked up soup right there, a very deeply kind of fucked up soup right there, and drinking dead kids' blood and getting turned on by it and everything. So that's that one. So yeah, OD just kind of makes money, presumably also makes an insane amount of money, like from selling directly to the 7 too. He makes an insane amount of money. And yeah, so then the final event was the induction of the Great White Wonder into the Hall of Superheroes and everything. So that was that. he came directly after taking it. He came directly after taking Frenchie's purple concoction in the form of a drug enema. So yeah, I think Homelander sensed that shit from a mile away. Homelander having the powers that he does, he, you know, saw the sweat pouring down his face, and he heard his heartbeat racing at like 10 miles an hour and everything. So he knew something was off. And then yeah, I think the induction kind of confirmation test thing was the Great White Wonder actually having to fly through a ring of fire that Ironcast is holding up and everything. So yeah, from then on things went great. But I was gonna bring up the poster of like I think it had like Maeve's name on it, but then the actual kind of coloring of the letters was very kind of peculiar. I think I actually did kind of catch out like the actual bicolors on the writing too. So I thought I mean to me it looked like pretty distinctly like the actual bicolors, and then it was actually like a Maeve poster and everything. I was like, oh, okay, so that's cool. I think showing support for Maeve being bi, and actually showing support for Maeve and everything. And I was like, okay. So I mean, if this is an original story, they can write the timeline however they want. But then it's like me having already watched the last 2 episodes and seeing how closely kind of like connected to the actual main show that like they seem to be. I was like, okay, for this one, I was like, okay. So in my head, like for a split second, I was like, okay, so this must be around season 2. Then season 2 was when like Homelander outed Maeve, and then she had to actually, but then it was actually revealed to the audience that she was actually bi and everything. So yeah, so then but then again with this, that like this seems to be like a somewhat of like a story maybe closer to the comics or something. So yeah, I think even her costume was different too. I think the costumes are different. I think Homeland. I think in the comics, I think I'm pretty sure Homeland actually does occasionally have like actual eagles on both shoulders and everything, and that's why they got it from the TV show. But I think maybe this one being the induction event that it was, maybe he has like an actual special cape he uses for those events, like an actual rope kind of tying it around him, and like one giant piss off eagle on his shoulder and everything. And then I think Maeve seemed to have like a lighter, more pinkier, like a lighter, pinkier kind of shaded kind of costume in this one too. So that was like an interesting kind of color scheme and everything. And then there was what was his name? Something, was it John from Jupiter or Joseph from Jupiter? Ah, yeah, okay, so Jack from Jupiter. So yeah, so that would be an alien then. That would be Jack from Jupiter. So I mean, presumably an actual Jack from actual Jupiter up in outer space. So our first, I really don't think we've got an alien before. That is an interesting. Or I don't know, maybe Compound V gave him an alien kind of appearance or something. So I think that would be a first. Like that would be like a real first. Like I think I think they haven't really kind of explored actual otherworldly kind of people, and then like I think the whole premise is there's actually humans who have been injected with this, and some have been corrupted, and others are kind of trying to fight the good fight and everything. So yeah, I think probably the more probable cause would be like I kind of wonder like if they might even actually consider that like a reject thing, because then they'd want like human, knowing Vought, they would probably want like human looking suits too. So maybe if there was one who was actually injected but then turned into something that closer resembled like an alien, then would they still kind of use that, or would they still kind of let him in and actually kind of I don't know, or maybe it might be like a more unique kind of twist where it's like, oh, this one suit we actually have is an alien from another world and everything. But I don't know. Either way, it's Jack from Jupiter. So we had him. So we had Jack from Jupiter, and we had Homelander, and we had Queen Maeve. So that was cool. So yeah, the drug worked and everything. It sent the Great Wide Wonder on like a whole loop-de-loop tour, on like a loop-de-loop world tour, just going up into the atmosphere and freezing, and then crashing back down again, and then looping around skyscrapers. And like the entire time, I think each time we saw his face, he had like his eyes were everywhere, and his just like he was going hyperactive and everything. So I really don't know what exactly Frenchie made or gave him. Is that something? I thought it might be something that overloads him until his organs explode, until his heart explodes, or he explodes in midair or something and just comes crashing down in bits and pieces. I thought that might be the thing, or maybe just like, I don't know. I thought it could be like, oh, he actually does go through the ring, but then he actually just doesn't stop, so then he just goes crashing straight into the wall and goes flat and everything, which he kind of did. But no, he then ultimately ended up actually kind of going like ever so slightly off course, and then went straight through Ironclast's stomach and everything. So Ironclast's internal kind of stuff is organic, and it's actually still kind of human organs and flesh and everything. So that was good. I thought it being Ironclast, maybe he'd actually be like a human kind of Iron Man or something, and actually just go splat against the metal and be crushed against his body or something. But no, he actually went through Ironclast. So again, yeah, two birds with one stone. So even Butcher was happy about that one too. He was actually able to take out Ironclast with that, so that was like a really lucky kind of hit. So yeah, I think this just definitely kind of felt more like an actual typical kind of boys story, where Butcher himself actually concocts a plan to hunt down a Soup, or at least like a more closely one of the seven, and then the boys actually work together to get the info and track the target and get the intel and concoct like an actual kind of weapon against them and everything. So yeah, no mention of MM though, so I don't know exactly like how far back this kind of timeline thing goes, or maybe if like he was kind of do something else. But 3 members of the boys and 2 members of the 7 that we know of. So yeah, only Frenchie, Butcher and Huey, and then of course Homelander and Queen Maeve that we actually recognise and everything. So, and yeah, I think there was also that story, I think I caught it very briefly and very kind of vaguely too. I think he was, I think the story Butcher told OD about Great Wide Wonder, like he was at some kind of party and he took people up into space and everything, 2 or 3 people up into space, like, and then actually kind of flew them around and everything. But then, like, again, like the deep atmosphere being what it is, the actual kind of height of the atmosphere being what it is, and like being really kind of really cold up there, they froze. He can, I think he can, and he does freeze. But I think with him being the suit that he is, I think he has more resistance to him, and then he can actually come down much quicker and everything. But then they didn't. They froze, and then they floated off, and he came down, and apparently like Butcher mentioned that kind of being part of the fun and being part of the thrill for him, so he got off on that and as well, and he enjoyed that, and then he came down. But then with them, they died. I think probably no one knew about it, or like they covered it up somehow, and they just covered up them as missing and presumed dead or something. So Wide Wonder was actually like a more specific target for him to go after too. So I mean, he's new, and he's kind of like not as kind of probably not as kind of as connected to the rest of the seven as most of the members are, and then he's actually new, and he's probably like a more locatable and more trackable kind of target too, and someone kind of easier to get to and everything. So yeah, so that kind of made him a bigger kind of goal for Butcher to reach in his efforts to get close to 7. So yeah, that's the Great Wide Wonder for you, the fucking murderer. So probably just as well as like most of 7 anyway. So yeah, I think for the most part, I think those were pretty much all the details I got. I think that this did not feel like that much of like an eventful episode. It felt like a pretty kind of simple kind of plan, like a simple kind of story to actually follow along to, and everything. Just kind of like actually kind of reintroducing us and kind of re-displaying kind of like the characters that we already know and everything in like slightly kind of different kind of lights and everything. And I like it definitely felt more like an actual kind of comic inspired, comic adapted kind of story and everything. So yeah, it was still cool in that sense. It was still really cool. So yeah, that was the Boys Boys Diabolical episode number 3. So yeah, thank you guys as always so much for being here and for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, then feel free to leave a like and comment what you thought on it, or what your thoughts are on it. And if you've read the comics, and if you kind of felt like this was actually like a comic adapted or comic kind of worthy kind of storyline, or any of those kind of details, if those details kind of felt kind of comic connected to you, then let me know what you thought and everything. Full length for those interested will be over on Patreon, so you can go check that over there. And yeah, that is pretty much it. So until the next time, bye bye for now.